Hello. I'm a professional, so. Oh wait, I had to wait for it to turn on. That was the thing. I was rushing. There's gonna be a joke about how like the panel's only about my voice, so I'm gonna be doing it like this the whole time because you guys don't care about what I look like. You just care about the voice. But that doesn't seem like a good idea. I'm not gonna stand the whole time though, because it's gonna make me feel like I'm doing a stand-up set, and that's gonna put a lot of pressure on me. So I'm just gonna sit. Okay, hi. I don't know necessarily what I'm doing. I think this is a Q&A, but I'm also not sure. Is this a Q&A? Is that
Yes.
what you guys just advertised as? Okay. I just don't want to be caught off guard, like, so they said I would be sitting here doing the coordinated dance that I never said I would do.
Hey, Zeno, I got a question for you.
What's up?
How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you? How come it doesn't sound like that when you speak into it?
I'll tell you why. There it is.
Okay.
You thought that's so close to it, but I'll tell you all why.
A professional. He's better with open mics than I am.
I wish I was, but I
just
can't. Sorry.
No. Are you my moderator?
I guess I am today.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Awesome.
Are you guys? Well, before I get to you really quick.
Yeah.
Are you guys enjoying the con?
Woo!
Off the fly.
Off the fly, man. Off the fly. Off the cuff.
But I do have a question for you.
Okay.
How did you get started with voice acting?
Yeah, this is the number one question any voice actor's asked ever. I felt like I have to have like a rehearsed sort of, this is what happened. Essentially, there was this program back where I'm from California. That's weird to say when I'm not in. Sidebar, I'm staying at this like hotel, and my roommate his room's right above mine. So whenever he does anything, I can hear him walking, like stomping. And I don't know if any of you met him before, because he was my handler a few years ago. But we can hear the same thing at the room I'm staying. And I was very tempted to be like, dang, Philip is so loud today. And then I realized I was not in California, and that's why I got back to California. I realized I was not home. I realized that I was in a whole other state. I got started. I took this program called All About Kids. It was like this 10-week program. It was about like singing, acting, and dancing. During that time, that's the triple threat that they thought all the kids needed in order to sort of book. And so I took this program and auditioned in front of like 10 agents. There was like one day where all the agents came and I auditioned in front of all of them. One of them picked me, or two of them picked me, but we went with one, because you only can. Well, depending. But we went with one, and they sent me for my first voiceover audition, which was this little known show called Ben 10 Hero Generation, which became Ben 10 Alien Force. And I played Alan Albright in the third episode. It was really cool. Thank you. My singular.
You killed it all, bro.
Thank you. I wish they felt the same way about Omniverse. There were a table here that wouldn't happen. It's okay. I don't need that anyway. But yeah, and then I didn't work for like a really long time after that, until One Punch Man. I think was like my next on-screen credit, which is about like 8 years later. But that's how I got started. I took that, and like that happened in this other way where I like a company, Bang Zoom, they would go to different shows and like have people audition for it to be in an anime. So I loved anime, and I wasn't working at the time, so I went to Anime Expo and I auditioned, and I failed. And then I auditioned online. They had this other competition called Perfect Idol, so I auditioned for that, and then I failed. And then so the next year, I auditioned for the same thing, the like I want to be the anime thing, and then I got a call back. So never give up on your dreams, kids. You know how Naruto failed his ninja exam 3 times and became Hokage? That's kind of how I feel sometimes.
You want some more on that part?
Huh?
You want some more on that part?
Sure.
My man never became Junie. He's the only.
Yeah, he just skipped Junie.
Yeah.
No, he skipped Joni. He just skipped.
No, he was never a Junie.
Oh, he's still a
Yeah.
king.
Yeah, no, he failed both his Junie exams.
Dang. Look at that. And I was Okage. Never give up your dreams.
Yeah.
Yes.
This question may decide the course of your life.
Okay.
What is your favorite ice cream flavor? And if you could make anything into an ice cream flavor, what would you choose?
My favorite ice cream flavor is vanilla. Thank you. It's vanilla. Technically, like cookies and cream. If I'm feeling particularly interesting. If I want to get funky. If I could turn anything into an ice cream flavor. Oh man. I'm trying to think of like the best dessert I've ever had. But then that was in Japan. Japan has the best ice cream already. I don't know what else I would. I don't know what I would.
This could include non-edibles.
Non-edibles. Something that I can't eat that I would eat as ice cream. We both were like,
Sorry.
I don't know. This is such a hard question. This might decide the course of my life. You know, validation. You know, you can just eat validation. I don't need it from anybody else. I had this ice cream that validated me. Yeah, maybe something like that. You know, like I would want it to be a concept, like if I need to feel loved, here's this tub of ice cream. Which usually is kind of why I eat it, right? It's like, oh man, I'm not having a good day. I deserve some ice cream. But yeah, so like that.
I mean, ice cream validation is always a good thing.
Cool.
But ice cream already validates you.
Exactly, that's what I mean. Like, but it gives you I want it to physically, you know, like psychologically affect you. Like, there's enzymes in the ice cream that give you immediate serotonin, immediate make your life better, make my life better ice cream. That would but,
So drugs?
No. Depending on the drug, it can ruin your life or someone else's life. Depending on the drug.
Mainly.
At least with ice cream, this is solely on you, and the only thing you have to the only consequence will be maybe weight gain, depending on the ice cream, right? And there's always solutions for that. So, yeah, drugs, I feel like you can go too far.
Yes, you can. Also moderation.
Moderation. I don't know. I'm trying to learn this.
You got a question?
Yes. Oh, okay. Oh, microphone fancy. What's the most emotional scene you've recorded so far?
It's between, there's a scene in Ray Zero where Garfield sort of has this flashback sort of blow up on Natsuki and Subaru. That was my first ever really, and maybe it's because how long it is, that was just a really long emotional scene, and Garfield went through so many things. He was angry, and then he was really sad, and then he was angry again. Or all the Junpei stuff in Persona. That was one time where we had to take a break after. We did the scene, and I'm in tears, and we're let's take a break. And Val Walk comes in, she gives me a hug. She was I know that was rough. I said it's okay. So and so I think with that one, some actual real stuff was happening in my life, very similar. So I was using it, and it did what it did.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else got a question? Okay.
I didn't see the Persona 3, but you got it.
Okay. You would think.
How was it to voice Coco in Pokemon?
Coco is and I say this with 100% serious, the hardest character I've ever had to voice in anything I've ever done ever. it's really cool. It's really fun. You go in and you start off like, oh, that's just a Pokemon. This is gonna be real easy and smooth. I'm gonna collect my 200 to go every episode, and it's gonna be. And then it turns out to be way harder than like literally like the most difficult thing I've done. But now that I like kind of have the formula, it's been a little easier. But yeah, the way we work on Pokemon is really, really specific. So I'm not just like putting words together. I'm not just saying Fuecoco. I'm trying to think of actual real words, and it has to come out as Fuecoco and match the flaps as well. So it's been kind of fun, but like really, it's really tough. It's really tough.
Can you give us a hit of Fuecoco?
Yeah. This is Fuecoco saying, "Hi, I'm having a really great time at the con."
Okay, so out of all the voices that you have ever done, who was your favorite and why?
It's really hard to pick a favorite because it's like there's so much that I love about all the characters I've played so far. But I usually kind of ask myself, if, like out of everybody I've played, who would I like want? Who do I the most desire to play again, or who do I not feel like I got enough of? And I usually return to Fogata. So I'll say Fogata for that reason, because I think like there's so much more I would want to do with Fogata as a character that I feel like I haven't got to do yet. So yeah.
Anybody else got a question? We'll go to you first.
Fogata from Fire Emblem. I felt like I had a lot of blank stares when I said that. I have no idea who that is. And I must be that clear.
How was the, in Kirkus basketball, Tyga, his journey,
Yeah.
emotional journey, how did that go about? Kind of more like in depth.
Yeah, it's a lot about like kind of sort of connecting to Kagami as like a character and like what he likes, and you know, he starts off as you know, like thinking he's like this fire basketball player because he came from the streets where they do it in LA, and he's like kind of immediately gets humbled, but then he like puts this fire in him to sort of be better, or because he wants to be the best, so he's got to like compete against these guys, and they're all sort of like arrogant or limited in their own specific ways that they don't know about because of their own talents. And I think like Kagami has to start, he had to start learning how to like trust his teammates and like not try to do everything himself, and you know, utilizing everyone's strengths instead of just his own, which is the difference between him and like the generation of miracles, right? And so that journey went from like him like singular, like, you know, playing basketball his way to like adapting and then like learning to rely on people, and you know, he built this really great friendship with Kuroko, and so like at the end, you know, it was like a really tearful goodbye.
Which character or characters do you relate to most in
I really relate to Hunter in a lot of ways. I feel like I've said a lot about, like a lot of different other like panels and places about like that, and like why like I connected with Hunter so easily. I recently played Akira in Zom 100, and like man, me and him had so many parallels in our lives at the same time. And like every episode, there would be something revealed that he would do, and I'm like, man, that's exactly how like I feel about it. That's like how I feel about it, or blah blah blah, right? Like just so. Yeah, I just feel like Akira was like my most recent like, man, he just like me for real, you know.
Is there a process you go through to get into character, or do you just go straight for it?
Often it's a process, especially if the character is new. Like I have to sort of adapt to like, because we get sides, we get a little piece of their character, but then there's this whole story that's being told about them. So as the story goes on, more things are revealed, and like, you know, it informs how I portray the character. But once you do, you have it in your body, like they usually play you a reference, and then you can kind of sort of lock in, right? But I for myself try to kind of have to build a few like in my body like corner marks, you know, like little books. I'm trying to little bookmarks, you know, a little like, oh, Hawks is right here. This is how he talks because blah blah blah. Maybe I have to fold my arms. I don't do it, you know, like or Hunter. He's got the gap. I don't know why the gap teeth always is what informs it for me. But then because I think I try to give him this little lisp, and then you know you think of the gap and the bag. He's tired, and you know like so. I think it's like I try or like you talk. You know we had Kagami. He's like he's got the eyebrows. He's kind of angry all the time, but he's in high school, so I don't want him to sound too. You know, it's just like I don't know. It's like a weird like I think of these little things, and that's what kind of does it.
I know who did it in order.
What's this? Oh, is this the college? Yeah. I'm an idiot. Why would I say that when I know I'm an idiot? That's what it is. This is so cute. This is so adorable.
I mean, if you want.
It's like a walking ad. Like, did you like our con? Come to our college, a public university for the public good. Your Falcon future.
I mean, if you want, put pictures of you up there.
No, please don't put a picture of me. I would rather it be this.
What's your favorite anime that you've like ever watched?
Ever. That's hard.
Yeah.
Soul Eater.
Yes.
Respect. Yeah, that one's I think it comes good. That's a hard question. There's so many. Because then I was like, well, maybe. Yeah. And then it was the rabbit hole.
If you were given the chance to play any character from like the animes you watched from shows like you weren't in, who would you want to play?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of an anime that I've been like, man, I would love to be that if it wasn't the guy doing it. And there's probably been a couple of those cases, but I wouldn't say those are out now. I don't know. It's so hard.
I got a question for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna think of that while I think of it.
Oh, this relates to this. Have you ever watched Bakiano?
Yeah, I'm in Baki.
You would definitely be Muhammad Ali Jr.
Oh, that would be cool. I wonder who they got for that. Dang, now I have to look that up. I think it's Eddie Kaiser. He tries to start beef between Chinese martial artists and some other guys. Favorite anime that if I watched, I would want to be the main guy. Or the guy. Or a guy. I don't know. Maybe Keelan and Soul Eater. I think that would be cool. I would love to do the Pot of Fire, but I've never seen. Yeah, that's my boy. I was like, there's black people in anime. It was my first time. Like, whoa. They're real. They do exist.
It's not just a boy.
Right. If I think of something better, I will answer it before it's available.
To be fair, Soul Eater was my first ever anime.
That's awesome.
And I'm like seeing like darker skinned characters
Yeah.
as someone who's like got darker skinned family from like Mexico and all of that is like straight out like
Oh, yeah.
staying here,
Yeah.
staying here.
Yeah, shot at the top of my list. I was like,
Yeah.
Yeah. I completely understand. Sick.
So for the character of Hunter, when you were playing him, how much creative liberty did you have for like how the voice went, how any of the actions that he took went, and how much of that was already pre-established, like before you took the role?
The voice was pretty much all me. It was pretty much based on my audition. And then any changes to the voice were also mine. I didn't know Hunter had that gap tooth until like later in the season, but its knowledge informed how I played him after that point. All the stuff that he did was all the team. It was like all Dana and all the writers and everybody like that. So all of his actions that he took, I didn't really have any like influence over, but the only thing I could do was, I guess the only influence I would have is like they would animate it based on my performance. Like we weren't a board-driven show, so whatever I did, that would get animated too. But yeah, so that was my creative. That's what I could do is characterize him. All of his actions were them, all them. Is that my water? Thank you.
Remember, guys, it may be a convention, but you all gotta stay hydrated.
Yeah.
Yes, please hydrate. I like that. Hydrate. Huh?
Want to take a swig first?
No. I had like the seconds, and you asking this question very nervously to take a drink.
Alright, so my question is, since you said you've watched Slayer, did you watch similar animes like Beat Gray Man?
I tried Beat Gray Man. I don't know why I didn't. Maybe at that time I was being like an animation snob, and I was like, animation, I don't know. But I didn't want to. I didn't watch Hollow either, but I didn't want to too. But then I was like, if I watch Hollow, I'm a completionist, so if I watch Hollow, I gotta go back and watch all of D. Gray Man, and I don't know if I can do that given my list. But I have watched older animes, like I watched like Eden of the East, and I'm a big Gurren Lagann fan, and like Samurai Champloo. I'm trying to think like more of the like some of the obscure ones that I've seen. I thought like Eden of the East is probably the most obscure one I watched, like old school. Old school. I really wanted to watch the Rave Master one. I didn't even know it got an anime. It was like one of my first manga, Tokyo Pop. Everyone remember Tokyo Pop? Remember they were doing stuff? Tokyo Pop. They were the manga company.
Yeah, I know.
They're still around, but
I know, that's surprising a lot. You hit me hard.
yeah.
Out of all the characters that you voiced, if you could trade places with them for a day, which character would you do?
Go. It's always Pokemon. I'm always like, I'm gonna go to the Pokemon world and collect cute little Pokemon and be 10 forever. 100%.
You gotta catch them all.
Gotta. Actually, I don't know. There's some ethics, logistics about that I'm not sure about. Not being in the show, I was like, that doesn't seem ethically okay.
Hey, you're the first person to catch a Suicune with just a Pokeball.
Goated. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I go goated. I don't know. People were mad, and I was like, I don't know why you're mad. You just haven't tried it yet. You're mad because you had to use your Master Ball, and I don't.
Get good, guys. Come on.
If you could pick two of the characters that you've voiced and put them in a room together to interact, which two characters would you pick?
Probably Hawks and Hunter. Yeah, I feel like there's some lessons that can be passed down there. That'd be very therapeutic for maybe the both of them. I think that would be really cute. A lot of people, I think, the red bird thing, motif going on for both of them. I think it'd be adorable.
I'll get to you in a second.
Would
Hunter think Hawks is Flapjack?
No, he would think he's Flapjack. That'd be funny though. Oh man. No, because Hunter knows where Flapjack is, and it's in his heart everywhere. Literally. Yeah. But I think he would think he's cool. I think he would think like Hawks is like who he could be, the red knight.
What are some of your favorite voice lines as Hunter?
Well, maybe I am an idiot. Oh, maybe, or I was like, well, maybe I'm an idiot. Because she was like, that doesn't make sense. I like, we tried to do this thing where, in the scene where he's learning how to, like, control his breathing because of panic attacks, there would be whistling because of the gap tooth. I don't know if it ever made it in, but, yeah, I think that's one of my favorites. And, of course, I love, the Emperor is not a merciful man. I just thought that was like the most menacing he's ever been, and he's never been that menacing ever since. Like we just find out he's like a nerd.
I'm like the rawest line in the entire show.
Right? Yeah, it's like so cool. And I like that Hunter was a cool Hunter to play, like the sort of in control, really like cheeky, menacing kind of guy.
Anybody else got more questions? There we go.
I was just wondering if you had any funny or particularly interesting stories from working with Dana Terrace and Alex Hirsch.
I didn't work with Alex that much. We all never recorded in the same room. And I think when I was on the show, it was over the pandemic, almost the entirety of the time I was on Yale House. It was remote, but I think one funny thing is I was doing some ADR for Hunter, and it was like the chase scene in, can't remember the name of the episode. I'm sure one of you know. The episode where he revealed that his name is Hunter. And they were like trying to have me do it piece by piece, because I'm assuming that's how like the other actors would do it. And I was like, oh no, I can take this as a run. This is fine. This is just like chasing efforts. And so I was doing it, and I stopped. Like, oh, was that too anime? 'Cause, you know. And they was like, no, more. I was like, okay, oh yeah, then we're in the money. So like a lot of like Hunter's efforts have become, even like you might hear it in the fight with like Will, not Willow, he would never fight Willow. In the fight with Amity, a lot of like it became, at least on my end, very anime, because I was like, this is what they like. So it's like kind of rare too. A lot of like Western animation tries to stay away sort of from the anime sounding efforts. So yeah, that was like a really funny thing story. They were like, no, please, we like that. And I was like, okay.
Okay. Uno, dos, tres. Put your number up. I don't know Spanish.
I was trying to think of that Pitbull song for some reason. I don't know why. Pitbull's been ruling my life. Does anybody here Final Fantasy fans? I didn't be playing remake. Every time I see Rude, I'm like, Dolly. Oh man. Okay, I'm sorry. What was your question?
I honestly think that the Pitbull song definitely ruined everybody's lives up.
Right?
So that's a little side note. And this is definitely going to be a pretty basic question, but as a voice actor, what is the biggest challenge, obviously, besides, looking for work, especially as a beginner?
Biggest challenge as a beginner?
Besides looking for work, yeah.
Telling yourself you're good enough to get the work. I mean, you look for work and then you get the audition and you go, there's no way I'm gonna book this because I'm gonna be auditioning up against, Yuri Lowenthal or Matthew Mercer or Johnny Young Bosch. Like, well, why would they pick me when they could just pick them? So like that's the second hurdle is like believing that you're good enough and that you are enough to compete with those names, like, because you are, and that's like that's when you'll start to like get the work, is when you realize that. I had to come to a point where like I was like in callbacks with Phil Lamar, and it would discourage me. I would be like, well, I'm wasting my time, and then eventually I started having to take on an attitude of like, or I'm just gonna have to book this job. It's gonna be one of us, and and it's okay for that person to be you sometimes, There have been, when I booked Cyborg, I think it's when I first thought that. Like, I was like, I wonder like how many other veteran actors they have, and because I knew that team, they would always have like a veteran in mind, right? They were just like, oh, we want Troy Baker, we want blah blah blah, and I was like in the same room as these people, and I was like, oh, maybe I can, maybe I can do this, Yeah, it's like that's the same.
That definitely hits a little too close to home, especially as a digital arts major.
Art is the hardest thing, like, to believe you're good enough at, because it's a thing that's constantly you're always improving upon, right? So it's like, you're always like, I want to get there, right? And then you get there, or wherever, right? Or the people who you think are there, and they're the ones like, I'm picking this thing apart piece by piece, and they're trying to get to some other thing, So it's always, that's like, I think any art field is like hard to believe you're good enough at, and like that's the biggest thing, is like believing that you're good enough. Believe it, huh? Believe it.
Of all the roles you auditioned for and did not land, which one do you wish the most that you would have gotten?
This is a tough question, because it goes to usually who it goes to is like one of your friends or your peers, and it's like of course that they're so great and they're so perfect and they're so wonderful that you couldn't even imagine it being you. They're like, but I will say, like, man, I really wanted Jujutsu Kaisen, I was like, I had my eye on it for months, and I had it for months. I was so sad not to be anybody in that show. But it's good sometimes. Like there was things like that. Like I wanted to be in that, but then like I auditioned for Chainsaw Man, and I didn't really want to be in Chainsaw Man. I thought that was a thing where I was like, no, I want to like kind of enjoy this as a fan. But yeah, that one hurt me. Miles Morales. Every time I audition for Miles Morales, it's like taking 100 points of psychic damage every single time.
Start the petition.
So, did you have any sort of different difficulties doing link click versus like regular anime since it's Chinese?
Not anything in particular. I think with Luke Wong specifically, most of it was like emotional intention. A lot of it, because the Chinese acting tends to be very subdued. Like just in like anything that I've like auditioned for that has Chinese references or that's based in like a property in China, like a lot of the acting, especially for those like white-haired characters, always seems to be really like just like very subdued, very calm, very direct. And I think for me that was hard to translate into like Luke Wong, because you know, like in Japan, sometimes you can hear the emotion in the voice of what they're feeling or going through. So it's like easier for me to pinpoint the intention with the line that they're saying. But for Luke Wong, it was like there was one scene where I think it kind of divided. I saw like a little bit of a discussion on it on Twitter. But there was one scene where he like grabs Chun Chasha and is like, "You like could have died. Like you weren't. Why don't you listen to me?" And we took it two ways. I did it like one like a little more subdued, but I did one really angry because I felt like the subdued take didn't match how angry he looked. And I was like, well, we can just like I'll just give you these and you decide. That's your problem to decide which one of these takes you want to take. So like I had to do a little bit extra work, which I don't mind, like being like, okay, let me pull that back actually. Oh, let me go a little further. Let me pull that back actually. He doesn't seem too worked up about that. Or let me give it a little more something, so there's a little more, at least, inner emotional life, and it's not in the voice. You know? So I think that was the biggest challenge. Was just like, how subdued? How do I match that? And do I match the sort of subduedness, or do I like spin it a bit for this depending on the moment? What's that?
My brain turned off for a second.
I understand.
It happens a lot.
Triple Uno. Red hair, purple hair second.
Wait. I know it's in this chair. I think it's right here. Okay, I'm so sorry.
Do you have a character that you regret voicing?
I'm not gonna say for my professionalism, but I did work on a show. I let you guys decide based off of the content. I worked on a show, and oh man, and it wasn't okay, a little bit was the show. And I was recording it at the same time as in the same studio as Jujutsu Kaisen, and I didn't book Jujutsu Kaisen, so I booked this other show that I had to work on. And I think that probably added a little bit to it. I was like, oh man, they're really working on it, and I have to work on this. But I think over time, especially when we got I grew to enjoy the work because my director was really fun. But then they changed the director on me, and so then we had a season 2, and I was just miserable. I mean, like, the show didn't really seem to be going anywhere, and the character I played he was kind of interesting, but he didn't really have a lot of depth for me, and then I just think like on the technical side, like all the lines were short, like they're just like, so then we had to like spend time in session rewriting the line, and then I would be like, okay, well, I would try to get involved and be like, oh, maybe you could say this, you know, I think I could say that, and the director wouldn't want to do it. He like would never take my suggestions, and then he would write a line that I didn't like vibe with or that I found difficult to say, like as a human being, because sometimes they'll like write line, they'll like fill it in with like filler words. And I'm like, but that's not what a person would say. It doesn't sound good coming out of my face, you know? And I just think over time, I just grew to really dislike the show. And I told myself, like, if we get a season 3, I'm not coming back and working on that. And so I think that one, and it's not that there was anything wrong with the show or doing that kind of show. I just think like the emotional toll it took on me, I just would love that time back. You know, like these are hours of my life that I'll never get back. And I spent it working on this show. And then the person who, the company that makes that anime, they saw me at a con, and were like, thank you so much for playing that character, and gave me all the manga from that show. And I was like, thanks. She was really sweet too. She was a fan, she was really sweet, but I didn't have the heart to be like, I did not like that show. Maybe I like that sometimes.
So, is there a moment in your career that stands out to you the most, like your absolute favorite, whether it be the funniest moment or you're just like, will hold it on to the end of your days?
I think I was really worried about Hawks first coming out, like literally, and I didn't know that they were gonna drop it the day they dropped it, but I think. Like, as I was recording, I think I had recorded the movie and we were about to do the game, and I was like worried. I was like, man, I don't know, like, cause at first I was excited, but then when I people were telling me like, or my director would be like, oh, it's really popular, and then I would see like little fan casts online, and the fan casts were not me, right? And why would they be, right? But I was seeing fan casts, and it was like these 5-star voice actors, and I'm some guy from somewhere who voiced one guy in the show, and I was like, man, you're gonna hate me. You know, like that. I was like, anime fans can be brutal, and they're just gonna tear me apart. And I'm black, like, I don't know, guys. You know, and I really was expecting, I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting it to be as overwhelmingly positive as it was. I was expecting a little half and half, right? Because I've seen how the industry treats people sometimes, right? So I was expecting for there to be people oh, I like it, I'll give it a chance, and people would be like, I hate this is the worst thing they could have ever done. Oh, and people were like that when I announced Go, right? There were a lot of people who were like, I want to punch Go in the face, right? So I thought it was gonna become more along those lines. And I was like, man, I wasn't sure. But I was pleasantly surprised. And the world exploded, and my following exploded, and everything exploded. And I just won't forget that. That just felt like a really, I don't know. It was just very impactful for me and my career, and then the movie premiere. I just that little stretch of time when Hawks was first announced was I'll always carry near and dear to my heart because of how great you all were about it, how great everybody was. Just really accepted me with open arms, and then I guess it helped that it sounded good. It helped that it sounded pretty good, and everyone was so nice. And I guess when you're on a site like Twitter or on the internet or sometimes in this community, you don't expect everybody to be real nice. So it was really cool. I had to sit down here. I'm so sorry. The chair felt very boring. The chair felt. It felt like I was putting on a TED Talk, and I wish I was saying something more interesting than I was saying in a TED Talk. Where'd he go? Is he here? Did he leave? Oh, you're right here. Okay. He was like, well, my job's done. Zeno's got it from there. No, you're good. You're good. Yeah. You're fine.
Whenever you voice a character for let's say a mobile game,
okay, there you go. Just
you play Vaughn and Fairly Fantasy Relink and upcoming DCLC for Versus. Does that ever inspire you to go back and play the mobile game, go down that gacha hole?
Sometimes, but gacha just seems real long, and I've played my fair share of gacha games, and sometimes I just feel like I don't have the time and commitment to it. It's I've always been after, and I don't voice in the gacha game, so it's I can't really hear what I've done. And I think he was a different actor in Shadowverse. So I think I would, like I tried to go, I'm not even in Fate Grand Order, and I tried to play Fate Grand Order. And I was like, this is a lot, you know, even like, I'm a big Kingdom Hearts fan. I'm a big, like, I love Kingdom Hearts to death, love it down. But I'm like, I can't wait to play Melody of Memory so that I can waste whatever hours of my life to get the 2 nuggets of lore that I can, you know, that I need. However, I could not play Unchained because it was a gacha game, and I felt like I was getting nowhere, you know. And sometimes like gachas will, I don't know. I'm better off playing the AFK games where like I can like do something else and then I can like. They just feel like they take a lot of commitment. And like being in Japan, I understand, right? You're on the train all the time, so like you have time between where you're going and your destination to play this gacha game. But for me, I can't commit to that because I drive.
That's amazing. One, I'm disappointed because I was wearing my organization cloak today.
Yeah, you just wanted that I couldn't play Unchained? Could you play Unchained?
Yes.
What? How far did you get Unchained?
I got halfway through the story.
Okay, we'll see. And how long were you playing it for? Exactly.
Unhealthy.
Exactly. You were halfway through.
I was halfway through because
You didn't even get the whole story.
Well, more money issues, but
that's even worse. It's even worse.
Yeah, but I'm mad because I have my organization cloak and I don't have it on me right now.
Oh, that's okay. It's okay. I recognize Will. I knew what that was.
Thank you. We haven't heard from you two yet. We'll get to you two in a second.
Is there a specific director or creative team that you worked with that really set the bar for your work and creative process?
I feel like I have a couple answers. But I think my first answer is, my first ever voice coach was Tony Gonzalez. He was the first person I ever took voice acting lessons from. And then, I got dropped from my agency, like some part through my career. And he was the one who set up a meeting between me and my agent. And he invited her to a class I was doing. She re-signed me into the class. So like I'll always like have like a reverence for him for like kind of essentially saving my career. But Charlie Adler, he's this teacher out in LA. I don't know if you guys never heard of the name. He's like Cow and Chicken. He's like Cobra Commander in the old school G.I. Joe. He is the OG Buster Bunny, like, and just an incredible man. And like every time I would take his class, I would come out feeling really inspired. He completely changed how I would work, right? I would always like mark up all my paper with all these notes and blah, blah, blah. And he would be like, throw that away, throw it away. You don't need it, feel it. Feel it. What are you doing? What is all this marking and what's that gonna do with you in the moment? Just feel it and just do it. And I just feel like once, I don't know, like I started practicing in that and like doing what he would say, like he said something to me that I'll like never forget, right? About like taking risks as an actor, things like that. And it's like, would you want to, like if you're falling from a ravine to your death, would you want to fall like this? Or would you want to fall like this? And I was like, that is really profound. If you have one shot, why would you be meek about it? Or why would you be timid about it, about your talent? You know, show it, you know, do that thing. So yeah, it completely changed, it completely reframed how I saw myself and my work and my relationship with my work. And I think like, that was like, who established that like, before I started working professionally. I would say maybe Colleen, because I think Colleen was like one of the few people who would be really patient with me and know that I would want, because especially with Hogs, I really wanted to make it right. I was just always asking for like, can I do it again? 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 And she would just be really patient and be like, I liked that one. I thought it was really good, but you can't do it again. You know, to let me know like, I don't need to do it as many times as I'm asking, maybe. But like, she will always be open to like me like taking control of the character creatively. And I think I like carried that on to my work moving forward. Like I'm always not afraid to be like, let me do that again. Let me do that actually one more time. I want to try it in the, you know. Yeah, well, like sometimes they'll be like, oh, this one's good, right? And then I'll do that and they'll be like, I thought your last one was good, but that's the key, you know? So sometimes it is worth it to like stick up for yourself if you think there's a better one in there. Thank you for your question.
So, out of all the shows you've done, which one are you most proud of?
I am most proud of. That's an excellent question. Maybe Zone 100. It was my first time like leading a show as dense as that one. Like I was like, you know, I led Vanitas, and I felt like Zon was way more work. I just felt like it was way more work. Akira had way more to say, and he just went through a lot. And I think I started to realize like how much work goes into like leading a show, and so it like led me to be really thankful that they gave me that opportunity, because it is a lot of work and it is a lot of like being present and on all the time. I think Vine Shows was a bit different because my director was very like fun and bombastic, and the show is very sort of fun and bombastic, and then it has these sort of darker moments. It's almost kind of the same, but there's just a lot going on in Zom, and I think just Akira had a lot to say. But I did end up being really, really proud of that work, I think.
One, man went from 0 to 100 very quickly in that show. Two, we do have 15 minutes left, so these next few sets of questions do need to be.
Okay, I won't ramble, I'm so sorry. I will shut up and answer the question and be.
No, you can ramble.
I didn't want to.
You first, you second. I see you in the back. You will be the last question of the day.
Alright, my question is, if you didn't voice Hawks or any of the heroes, what villain would you have voiced from My Hero Academia?
I cannot see you. Where are you? Oh, what villain would I have voiced? A villain? I was a villain. I was in the Shian Saikai. I was what's his name? Deidoro Sakaki. Yeah, that was the slosh guy. Everyone's like, who? He was in like 2 episodes.
Isn't that the dude that gets, when he's like drunk, he just calls?
Yeah, he gets everybody else drunk. Yeah,
Oh, really?
yeah. I was mid. He ran so Hawks could fly. Legit. After we were done working, Colleen was like, "Dang, you were so good. I wish the was wasn't so short." You know, I'm on it. You know, I got this new character coming up. I'm auditioning people in LA. I want you to audition. And I said, okay. Like, mind you, at that time, like I was like, wow, I was in My Hero. That was cool. At least I got to touch the show. You know, I didn't think I would ever be Hawk. So yeah, everybody thank Deidoro Sakaki for Hawks happening.
What are some of your favorite memories of some of the other voice actors you've worked with on different shows?
That's a great question. It's a great question, and I can't think of anything. I just really like the camaraderie I've built with all of my friends, like who are also like my peers. You know, I have a great camaraderie with like Alex and Alejandro, Susie, you know, all the Persona people. We're all like real cool now. We're all real tight. I think me and Alex had this interesting like kind of back and forth about before we were in shows together, we always wanted to be, and we were always like, man, they never put us in stuff together. They never put us in stuff, and then it would be like, now they're putting us in stuff together, but we're always fighting. How come we're always fighting? Why aren't we friends? And then like we did a couple of things where I was like, a friend, and it was like, yeah, we were bros in that thing. And then if you fast forward to like a few years later, we both have like matching suits on the orange carpet for Dragon Ball Super. And I think like stuff like that's really cool. I had Alejandro bring me food on the Persona premiere panel at AX because I got lost. In very Junpei fashion, I got lost. Trying to find them really close to panel time, like call time. And they had all went and got food at this really delicious sounding place. And Alejandro was like, well, what do you want? I'll just bring it to you, you know? And just like stuff like that, like, you know, I Anaris and I have like, I remember DMing Anaris. That's how I met her. I followed her because she was a peer, but I DM'd Anaris years before it happened, maybe a year before it happened, and I said, I think you'd make a really good Mirko. And she went, oh my gosh, I would love that opportunity. That sounds so cool. I said, no, I think you would make a really good Mirko. And we skipped, and Anaris and I like were close as friends after that. But then she booked Mirko. It was like, yeah. So I don't know. I just like, I went and got. I get food with them all the time, and I went and got food with them the other week, and I just remember being really thankful that they're like my friends and that they're in my life, because as much as sometimes they aren't obligated to, they choose to like reach out to me and ask me when I'm free to hang out, when it's easy for me to like sort of become an island, so I really, really cherish it's like stuff like that. It's like, it's hard for me to think of like specific moments while working on a thing, especially when we all work on our own little vacuums, but it's cool when I think back on like, wow, we all became friends because we worked on this thing. Dang, that was a ramble. I was not supposed to talk about that.
You're fine. We got 2 questions now.
Hi, I was wondering, who are your biggest inspirations?
In the voice acting world, I'm always inspired by other good actors. Like AJ inspires me all the time. I think sometimes when we hear an audition, I think his reads are so brilliant. Anaris is brilliant. She's just a brilliant actress. Yuri Lowenthal is I have a really treasured history with him just because he was on my first ever job, and I spent a lot of time after that identifying his voice everywhere I could.
You learned from the great Ben Tennyson.
Yeah, Ben Tennyson. Corey Payton. He's such an excellent actor. I mean, he's so good. Blow me away good. Phil Maher, of course, who's Static. I'm inspired by Donald Glover. I just think he's an amazing creative. He can do whatever he wants, and I really admire that. Max and Ray and Robbie, they do their fun little their lava show, and I go every single time I can. But they're also excellent actors. Oh my God, I haven't heard any of them miss in anything. So yeah, to name 10.
Alright, I feel a little embarrassed having this be the final question, but on the topic of Pokemon, if you were a trainer in the Pokemon world, who would your partner Pokemon be?
Cyndaquil, speak of the ball.
Yes!
You did say you had time, well, that would have been the last one, but we actually do have time for about 1 or 2 more.
Okay.
But I actually have a question for you.
Yeah. It's pretty good, guys.
If you got, obviously we've already asked if you got to meet any of your characters, but out of all the characters you voiced, who do you feel like you would get along with the best?
Probably Fogado. Yeah, Fogado from Fire Emblem. He's the kind of guy who's are you sad? Let's go party. Are you sad? Let's go do something. Let's get you. But then he can have a real conversation with you. He has his own kind of darkness, and he can probably see it in you too. But he's always he's always doing his best to make everybody happy, and I relate to that a lot.
Okay.
He's so cool.
We got 2 last questions.
Hi, I was wondering if you had any goals as a voice actor or in the entertainment industry?
Yeah, right now, my goal is, I got a little taste of it earlier this year. A motion capture video game, The Last of Us, or Star Wars, Jedi. What's it? Fallen Order. Fallen Order. Something along those lines. I got to do my first ever on location motion capture session, and it was incredible. And I was people do this for longer, all day, all the time. I want to do this. I could do this for another week straight. And so maybe something like that, something with some depth, Yeah, if they were here's the script for The Last of Us 3, I would be I will turn this into a masterpiece. Thank you. You know, so that's my next goal. I haven't got that yet. So I think that's something I really want to do.
The Holy Grail just gets playing.
Yeah, we saw it in with the Black Panther Captain America game, right? And Corey Payton, that shield that you hide behind, like that. I want to do that so bad. And so I was like, he's had so much fun. I just saw him and you probably couldn't tell me, right? Yeah, I saw him like a month ago. I was like, he didn't tell me he was about to be freaking Black Panther. That would have been nice to know. He probably hinted at it a little bit, but he's so cool.
You're next, man.
Hopefully, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate that. Anything else?
Little side comment first. When you were saying earlier about the scene of Hunter whistling through his teeth during like the panic attack scene, that did make it into.
It made it in, right?
Yeah,
Okay, I felt like it was.
It's probably pretty up there on like some of my favorite scenes from that entire show. So
Yeah.
it's in there. And my question is, on the flip side of what character you would get along with the best, what character have you voiced that you think if you ever met them you would have instant beef with?
I'm trying to think. So I'm sure there is one or two that I would just not vibe with. I probably wouldn't vibe with Bonnie Talks that well. I think he would have instant beef with me though. He wouldn't like me, because I feel like I give off very relevant, very positive, very wow, that's so cool. They're grateful and thankful, and he think that's a load of malarkey. Shut up, Zeno.
Ronnie Toss says it's on site. He said it's on site. Welcome. I know I keep saying the last one, but we actually will end it with these last two questions.
This one's a bit of a rambler, but if you could choose a role for yourself, so this doesn't exist, but what kind of character would you want to play for yourself if you could pick one?
In the same vein of what I want to do as an actor, what I haven't done. I haven't seen a really good, grounded, but action-packed video game about a young black anything, right? The closest we have is Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and that's from 2018. That's incredibly recent. But there's no when I play Control, or when I play The Last of Us, which is about Ellie, right? She's 19 by The Last of Us 2. There's no that for someone who looks like me. So maybe something like that. If I could create, craft a thing for myself. If Life is Strange were to have an episode 4, I would hope it could be about someone like me. Or if they let me do it, I'd do it. I think that'd be really cool. And I think that's something we don't have yet, or we haven't seen yet. So that's something I would craft out for myself. A cool game character that we haven't seen, and something really cinematic and really story driven. Yeah.
And for the last question tonight.
So in all of the animes that you have voice acted in, how many of them have you actually watched all the episodes for?
None of them? Beginning to end? None of it. I was gonna say Zom, but I fell asleep. I fell asleep. So I missed maybe the last two episodes. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever watched an anime I've done front. That's a lot. Akudama Drive.
Woo!
Akudama Drive. I watched that bad boy beginning to end. Especially because I died in episode 6. So what happens after I die? Sorry, I spoiled it for anybody who hasn't seen it. But if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's so good.
It is.
If you like Danganronpa, it's the same people who made Danganronpa. They made and Raid Code. Yeah, Akudama. That was the one. But I think it's because I usually read the manga, so I'm I know what happens. I'm always I know what happens. I'll get to it eventually.
So, Can everybody give a round of applause for Zeno Robinson? Take a compliment.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I think Jonah's right after me, right? Jonah's gonna be here?
Jonah went before you.
You went before me? Oh, so it's a cosmic contest right now.
Yeah. So, for all of you lovely cosplayers,